Yeah, crazy, crazy morning, huh? I mean, not morning, afternoon. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Thanks for taking some time. And just a quick background. So I'm Spectre for anyone that doesn't already know me, and been kind of, I guess, describe myself as a momentum trader. And so what I look for are things that move with volume. And kind of like anticipate how things may play out. And so we had a big move in GME. So what I'm going to do is let's start with how did things kind of end up where they did. So you should be able to see the charts. And on the left, I've got the 15-minute chart, and on the right, I have the daily. And so let's start off with the daily, right? And let's talk about what happened here back in January. And you can see how we had this area here around 33, 36, this area that was support, and we had this 44 level, which is where things started going crazy, right, on this breakout. And so let's just go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. And so check this out. So we had this crazy breakout, and everybody knows what happened, and the big thing, and the big gap, and the dump, and the rip, and the dump, and all this craziness, right? But so that's the history of it, right? But by this time, for the last 2 weeks, and you know, I remember I was trying to bounce it off 50, right? And it got to 50 and here, and then came down here, and then again trying to bounce it off 50, thinking, hey, it's going to run, right? Maybe we'll get a dead cat bounce, right? So that concept of everything is just kind of done, and there'll just be this bounce. And so tried it, failed, came back down. And this little blue line right here is the 50-day moving average, right? So we kept trying to bounce it off the $50 area, right? And then come this last week or two, we broke that support, right? 50 broke, got under 48, and it just kept selling, right? And so the basically this breakout failed, and now we're under the 50-day moving average and closing. And at this point, if you were short from here and you're getting short here, and then it broke below the 44, which is where it broke out from, in general, you're starting to, at least for me, if I was short, I would be, and this is my thesis, I could be completely wrong without people are doing this, but just from how I look at things and how I short things, after this break of 50, I was kind of thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe it's dead for now, and it's going to need to go sideways for a while. But with the break of 44, I was thinking, hey, it might flush in back into mid 20s, low 30s before we actually get some bounce, right? And then we had the market flush and dump last week, and you can see here we had this dip um, right down into this point right here. I think what is that? I think that was what was the low? 38.50. Okay, so it kind of came down into this area, and then it started bouncing, right? And my general thesis on the market from Monday, if you remember, Monday and the day after was, okay, we get the big flush out. We broke the 386 on SPY, and the market dumped into 380, right? And then I was looking, we maybe get a bounce. So we got a bounce, and then we reclaimed that 386 in the market. So I started looking at this. Hey, you know what? This flush out right here from Friday when we ate shit. And then we have this I think it was a Friday or Monday. Anyways, whenever we dumped and then we reclaimed, we basically this flush out and this dip on Monday, and it pushed and held, right? And I was like, oh, maybe this is getting back. I started on Monday looking at this, going, we broke support, flushed, but then come Monday, we recovered and we got back into the 40s and back above that 44 level. And that's when I started going, hey, if we start consolidating here on the 44 over the next week or two, um, we might get a rip. I was thinking maybe back toward 80, maybe 100. And and so I was just kind of watching this, and then today I was like, okay, we got this push and up over 48, so we can come down and look at this. So it held VWAP all day, right? So at this point, I was kind of like, hey, any pullback, I just kind of put a number in, and I said, hey, if I can buy the 50 calls for next week for 450, $4.50, I think it's a good risk reward, right? I can risk 50%, maybe we get a rip or move. I did not anticipate, to be honest, that it was going to happen today, right? I had no clue. I did think that we could in the next couple of weeks. I was kind of expecting maybe another week of consolidation before this started going. But the important thing is to learn here is if you were short and you, so what my one of my thesis points is that if a lot of people were short here and doing the way you would normally do, you basically start getting, you just get, maybe a little bit complacent. And then you start putting stops in maybe at 50, maybe at the 50-day moving average, right? Right here at 55, right? And if you look, where did the carnage really start? It wasn't right here. It was when we crossed this 55, right? At this point, anybody who was short all this week, they're probably going to want to stop and cover. And it just starts accelerating. So that was one thesis I have, or belief I have, is what's going on here is that once we cleared this 55, everybody's going to need to start covering. Plus, we have the plus we have the FOMO buyers, and then you have the Reddit folks. And so that's my thesis, just from looking straight momentum. What happened, right? Is you're start going to need to do some short covering, and then it ripped up here, and then we also have all the after hours action that brought it up to close to 200 and almost filling this gap in after hours. But the important thing is how knowing to be able to take this trade, recognizing the 50-day moving average. When that cleared, this thing starts going into banana modes, right, with a short squeeze. So then I'm kind of figuring, okay, what could I have done better, right? Because there's a lot of money going on in this, and I definitely did not take advantage of it the way I should have. Because I was kind of like, hey, this could happen, right? But did I take and position maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 position on $100 calls, which would end up probably right now be worth maybe $500,000? No, I didn't have, I did not, I definitely underperformed, way underperformed, right? And that pisses me off. And so what I'm doing is I'm going back and looking, okay, what could I have done better? And um, and that's where blackbox comes in, right? One is if I had paid attention not to just my charts, but also started going, hey, what is the option flow doing? I could have positioned much earlier. So what I did is I went into blackbox and I did the historical view on option history and for the week. And then I said, hey, show me everything with over 100K in volume. And I'm just going to actually see if I can paste that into this screen right here. Um, let's see, I cannot. So I guess I'm going to have to add a browser window. Sorry about that. I should have um, prepared that a little bit better. Um, Forgot about posting that. Yeah. Be right back. I'm gonna put this in studio mode. Hey, I'm sorry about this, guys. Just give me a minute, and I will see if I can get a browser window all set up. And I think this is running properties. Okay, so okay, so I've got Chrome. There we go. And I'm gonna live stream the black box flow area. Just give me a couple seconds. I'm just getting that all set up. I apologize again. Um, okay. All right. So you guys should be able to see the black box screen. Can you guys see that? And is it easy enough to see, or should I try to zoom in? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go over what's going on here in the black box flow, and you can see right here, starting on the date, that on Monday they started buying 75, 95 calls, but they were also like me. Hey, maybe it's going to take a couple weeks, right? But they were buying 75, 95, $51 calls, and this was no chump change size, right? They were starting to buy this. So I'm kind of like, I really missed the boat or the observation that this started coming in. Maybe it was happening before last week, but at least from my perspective of the recovery and that of that 44 level, that I should have been paying attention to this, all this buying, and and would have been able to go, better position, or maybe position with a little more confidence and size. Okay. And there was then some interesting flow that came in at a certain point. It wasn't toward the end of the day, and I'm just going to click over to the flow area and also looking at 100K bets. And what happened in the last hour? Anyone, any interesting? There were some nice March 95 calls, right? Somebody put in some 95 calls right here, and they're paying $7, $8. And that could have been really interesting. They even started here at the 105s. We started getting these sweeps in this block at $3 here, right? So if I had been paying attention to the flow here, I probably could have positioned it a little bit better. Not just, well, I had the nice starter size. I added to that position, but I did not add and hold to the amount of size that I should have or could have. And so what I wanted to kind of just go over here is that using the tools that we have available, using black box um, uh, flow, and learning momentum and how charts work and where people may possibly cover shorts from the charts, you can do some pretty amazing things. I mean, right now, I mean, I'm basically looking at probably like, yeah, between the different positions I did have, actually, I'm well over a couple 100K miss. And then if I had, there's all the what ifs or whatever, but what I was planning for, and I was planning for the squeeze, I just wasn't mentally prepared in the game to execute on it today, and hold with size for today, and so um, and that comes from being prepared, and I just wasn't prepared enough. I had the right idea. I saw that this was happening. I did go long for this, and it didn't do bad, but it was definitely less than what it could have been if I had prepared better. And so I just wanted to share with everyone, what triggered the short covering and the squeeze, and then going over how what one could have been better prepared and how one could have used the option flow to go, oh, hey, in the last hour, look, they're buying a bunch of 60 calls. That's another thing. Let's go over that part. Is you could also see here in the last hour that look at all these 60 calls that came in and 50 calls, right? All for this week. When you start seeing that, that could also start getting you in. And so yeah, I just really wanted you guys to see using the chart. Your guys, this is, I mean, yeah, GME is kind of an extreme case, but the same situation is going to play out over and over again. It's just how momentum has works. And so when you see big drops, consolidation for a longer period of time, in this case, it was only 2 weeks. I was kind of hoping for maybe a month or so, and then be able to load this, and then and go long, and then you can also use the option flow to help give you a little more confidence. I was just so caught up in the moment that that I mean I minimized on this, man. I feel bad. I'm disgusted with myself, to be completely honest. So that's why I'm making this video also, is to help share a little bit of that angst, because I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. But it's part of being prepared, and so I want folks to be able to be prepared again. For option alert wasn't true. I don't know. I'm not well enough skilled for the alerts to trigger. And it's just for finding I mean, tickers for me, it's more just I'm just always paying attention to different things. And just historical, right? Like GME went nuts. So at some point in the next 2 months, I was pretty sure there was going to be a dead cat bounce at some point, right? I don't know, JD. I'm pretty much just I'm a momentum guy, and my I'm anticipating where things are going to move and how they're going to move, and in my case for here, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave a little bit for overnight because there should be a gap. And as for how it will be and how the option will price overnight, I just bought in the money. So if we're in, the 50 calls I have for next week, we open up at a over 150, that's going to be $100 from $5 from 450, get 20 bagger. We go to 200, it'll be 150 plus at least. That's all I know. Oh, I'm booking. I'm locking in whatever I get in the morning. I don't care. I mean, I minimize all the time, but my process always is, in the first, if I'm swinging anything overnight, in the first 10 minutes, I'm selling. That's just my process. It's what I do day in, day out. I definitely miss out on profits all the time because of it, but I also don't lose out on profits because of it. And so I just stick to my rules and my own personal rules and my process, and that seems to serve me well. So, and then I know a couple people were asking. So I do use Interactive Brokers for a lot of my after hours trading, and that's because I can trade full hours. They have great great no, this is the AJ, this is just for the review, using the 15 and the daily. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to 3 minute, and then I'm just going to talk a little bit about the after hours action and what I did. And yeah, you can notice my charts are pretty damn clean, right? I mean, this is all I really use: VWAP, volume, and volume profile. I don't really use a lot of studies for the way I trade. I just kind of look left and look at the charts. And as you guys know from the watch list, I'm pretty good at estimating where people will buy and sell, and that's where the levels are come from. Is looking through and trying to figure that out, and yeah, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. But here's what I did. So you can see here that in after hours, I got short up here. It tried to go through one. I actually got long at 122, 125, or 126, 127, anticipating this breakout, and it pushed and then slammed. And thus I stopped out and flipped short, right? Because we basically have a failed breakout. We have three candles here, like where it kept slamming, and I thought, okay, maybe it's going to squeeze. And then that's when I got short here at 120. And then as a rule, when it flushed under 110, I always lock some in. And then I just put my stops at my entry because I was like, okay, hey, maybe it's it, and then maybe this is just a bullshit squeeze out, and then it's gonna fade back to, maybe it fades back to here at 90 or 100, right? Nope. And then it started going again, and then I got long somewhere in here, I can't remember, and then rode it up, and then I sold along the way as it got here. Tagged this, and then right here at the 190s, can't remember where I was, 190 or 195 or something like that. Anyways, it tagged, rejected, I got short. The risk reward is fantastic, right? Like off of this rejection. And then again, same situation. I think I covered after I had 15 points of profit, and I locked in half. And then I went and actually got a phone call and kind of stepped away. And I just had to. And one of the nice things I like about interactive. Oh, am I talking and not switch the screen? Oh, my bad. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, let's go back. So here's the candles I was talking about. Thank you, MK, for the heads up. Um, yeah, so here's the triple candle. I used a 3 minute chart. And here's what, again, what I was talking about with what my charts are pretty clean. Just VWAP, volume, and volume profile over here. And so anyways, covered here, put a stop, got stopped out, came back, and then I got short, and then I went and ran in to do some stuff, and I wasn't really paying attention. I just had the stop limit order, and that's the other reason I like using interactive brokers is after I can do stop limit orders in after hours, and they will run and they will execute. And so I didn't have to babysit it, and it was a great risk reward. And then I just noticed it when I looked at back on the screen. And I was like, oh, it's 135, and I just got lucky on the timing. There was nothing more, and I was like, hey, I'm covering, right? I mean, like that's fantastic. That's good enough for me. I don't need to be perfect and have it go. Maybe it's going to fade back to whatever. I mean, you get that move, I'm good. And so, um, the the okay, cool. The Sorry, I just got a bunch of messages making sure everyone's okay. But yeah, so then covered up right here, and that was a decent setup, and that was good enough for me, and I'm called it a day. So the so yeah, and then on the daily chart, I do use the 50-day moving average, and I use the 200. Just so that you guys, in case anyone's asking. So that's what this is right here, and that's what this is the 200. And that's about it. But anyways, I hope guys, I hope everyone, I hope this was very helpful about what happened. Basically, it just started the big short squeeze, and then it started the FOMO run, right? And that's the other part of this is that when this is, I called. I think I was saying it to somebody on voice. I was like, yeah, the Reddit boys are going to be all over this, and that was and in the last 50 minutes it just started going leaps and bounds. So it was pretty sweet, and so I hope everyone is killing it, and I hope you guys are doing well. So what started happening is we had, because GME's run happened for the short squeeze. There's my thesis on is that they're going after everything else, Goofy. So that's where AMC started its rips right here. And I actually bought the back here. I was kind of thinking this might happen, and it was just so cheap. I actually bought the 650 calls, I think, on Monday, for like 20 cents. So that'll be fun. Um, the Yeah. So what's going on is we have that. Look what else ran. Tilray, right? It's just everything that was beat up is squeezing. Part as in sympathy to GME, in my opinion. And so that was Tilray, and that's where I was started looking in after. I was like, hey, what hasn't gone ape shit yet? That's beat up, and that's why I was thinking SNDL has potential. Because if I remember, there was also like I think they were on CNBC. They were pumping SND up at $2 and $205 area. And so I figure, hey, look, those guys are all going to come in and buy. So if you bought here 155, I mean, our risk is basically here. Hopefully, it doesn't gap down, but we have some volume here, so there should be some support, and we're getting that push. So, all right, guys. Anyways, that's it. I hope again this was helpful. Love you all. Keep up the good work in all your trading, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.